What is up, beautiful people? If you're listening to this, I think we are on episode 71. Yes, I feel like every episode I'm gonna keep saying that because the more episodes I drop, I forget the shit. And that's what happens when you drop so many fucking episodes. But here we are, guys. Episode 71, Sunday Sessions with Rich. If you don't have one already, pour you up one, roll you up one, pause the episode if you need to, and then unpause it when you got it. On today's episode, guys, I have a very special guest, man. He is known on Twitter, a very great guy, as Huemvn BEinG. Bro, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
If for those who don't know, because I'm still new to this podcast game, so I know people are listening everywhere. Let us know about you, what you got going on, my friend.
Well, my name Huemvn Jones, whatever you want to know. What I got going on. I've been traveling a lot lately. I know people usually answer that question probably with like career or whatever, but they don't really define me.
But,
So I've been traveling a lot lately, been enjoying the United States with my girl, seeing the different parts and all that. Been visiting family a lot lately too because I just moved to Florida like 3 years ago.
okay.
So I was visiting my family a lot in the first year or two. So now that we completely settled in this area of the U.S., been visiting a lot, been getting a lot of time in with my little brother. He doing music and whatnot. My older brother, he got a son. He's growing up, so seeing that, that's what's been going on lately. Really tapping in more with the fam, getting more grounded.
Good. I saw on Twitter you was on a little cliff jumping down. What were you?
I said the clip. Oh yeah, that was in Washington. That's when we was visiting on my girl fam at that part of the trip. Washington State and Oregon. It was lit. It was extremely massive. Yo, the mountains out there,
bro,
crazy. It looked like a place where giants live.
Bro,
everything there.
It's a whole vibe.
Yeah. You just around there.
I was in Denver. We had so my buddy from college lived there. So we it was this place called Telluride, Colorado. It's like a 6-hour drive for Denver. That bitch was worth it. You got like you said, mountains as tall as fucking giants and shit, and you buy creeks and ponds, and I'm legit camping out in like 11,000 feet above ground, like cold as shit. Like shit was like wow. And then it was just it was a reset I needed. Wild part though, bro. We had went to a hot spring. And they said clothing is optional. So you walk in that bitch and you see people who butt ass naked. I'm like, this is what? Yo, yeah.
It would be stupid that we ran into one too. We was on the river. Trucking down the river, like 30 minutes down, just a hot spring just laid out in the middle.
Bro.
Amazing, right? The contrast be OC, hot as fuck in the hot spring.
Bro.
We entered over, it's cold as hell.
But it feel amazing though.
Yeah, incredible.
That shit had my body like natural high. Shit.
Actual high.
It is, man. It is. I know we was chopping it up too. Before I went about UFOs, because you was telling me your story about your interactions.
I done seen so many. It's crazy. I don't even know the first time I seen one. I had to be hella young. I done forgot about it. But I know the first time I seen one that stuck out to me is it was me, my brother, and my two. Well, they like my brothers, really. I grew up with them. And it's on New Year's Eve.
That's crazy.
We young. I had to be like probably like 9 years old at this time.
And you still remember this? That's okay.
It was mind blowing. We all outside, ain't too many people outside. We out there riding our bikes for the countdown, just enjoying ourselves and shit like that. Then we just all hear this sound. And the trees just get to rustling. We like, what the fuck? This is the first time and the only time I ever saw one this close. When I say UFO, I mean unidentified flying object. Nothing came off the motherfucker, so I don't know what it is. But it's come through the trees. And it's some little, I don't even know how to describe it. It looked this shape though.
Yeah.
And it looked metallic. And it was just floating there. We all look at each other. We like, what the fuck? So we try and get closer. It took off. We trying to chase, mind you, it's not that big. It's about the size of like half of a table. So we start chasing it all the way around our block. This in DC, man. Yo, get around the block, that joint take off. Our mother come outside. She's like, yo, come in, come in, come in. We about to do the countdown. We didn't say nothing to our parents though. We brought this up. I remembered it, but for some reason, I didn't think to say nothing about it. And the same occurred for them. Mind you, this was when I was like 9. Now I didn't say
Were they around the
hella
same
more.
age?
You said what?
Were they around the same age as you?
My 2 brothers, yeah, but my oldest brother, nah, he 5 years older.
Damn.
So we all just let that shit go for some odd reason. And then like 3 years ago, we brought it back up. We was on a vacation out in Orlando, and I brought it back up. I was like, yo, y'all remember we staying at UFO New Year's Eve? Every one of them had the same story. I let my brother tell a story without me telling it first, so I can confirm if it's similar.
Yeah.
Same exact story. And then my other 2 brothers like, yeah, I remember that. I'm like, oh, that's the weirdest one that ever occurred. Because every other one that I ever seen is in the sky, never come down, phasing lights or solid light that come in certain ways, sporadic patterns. Never found any answers for what any of this is. It's just
the one you
random.
saw when you was 9, you said it was like half the size of a table.
That one
That
was
would be a
clear,
small ass.
clear as day.
I mean,
It was
UFO.
about half the size of the table. Low too. It was floating about probably like 22 feet off the ground. It's just hovering right there. When I think back on it with my adult mind, yo, I be trying to decipher if it's a possibility it could have been a drone or not. Because you always want to explore all possibilities, but back in that time, oh no, man, that shit it's too small and too agile.
It's no other explanation for it.
You feel me? The wildest one, I seen another wild one when I was out in Washington though. About as equally as wild as that one. What we sent, mind you, I told you it was the 2 media showers at the same time. One of them, clear day media showers, regular tails on it, going one direction. But the other one's going all types of weird ways and shit. But then one of these motherfuckers crossed the sky. I can't, if you're looking at the horizon, right? Just imagine from one end of the sky to like 70% of the entire sky. It crossed like that speed, like less than a second. It was just, how meteors usually look, but it went from, so you know how much of a distance, like, that's a crazy, the speed that had to be, it couldn't be no meteor. Ain't no meteor going that fast. So that right there, that's also was mind blowing. Every other one, I guess it pertained to who you talking about, because it desensitized me from how many it was. It could be on the same level, but I seen the same thing day after day. This is back in 2015, 2016, 2017. All 3 of those years in DC, I was seeing endless. Like, I'm talking like 40 per night, just looking out my window like, yo, what the fuck is this? My mom looking at it, she's tripping out. My uncle come over, he's tripping out. Everybody that I show tripping out, but they, besides my mom and my brother, everybody else trip out for like 2 minutes and then they go back, see what they doing. Me and my mother, we like, yo, we'll find out what this is.
Right.
Drove to where it looked like it is, because it looked like it's near the Capitol. This back in DC too. Don't see nothing when we close to it.
That shit. Because I think so. I feel like, okay, this matrix got many layers. I feel like those who see or like come in contact, it's just because we on that like certain frequency to where we can see it and not freak out. Because think about like you 9 years old and you actually saw that shit and you ran off like, you went towards that motherfucker.
Yeah.
You trying to say like, hey, I gotta see what this is. I feel like I want to ask you when you were talking about that, do you think it's something internal in you that made you feel like it was okay and safe to kind of go towards that, or it was like that curiosity? What is being a kid?
Curiosity for sure. Cause I ain't think much. It was kind of like that was an impulsive reaction for sure. I looked, and I did, like, after we looked at each other, it's like we all had the same thought, like, yo,
Yeah.
let's get closer.
See that shit.
You know,
I had
now though, I do the same thing though. I still go close.
You
But
still?
conscious now though.
I had my first. I was tripping on acid first time I had came in contact with just like me as like a star seed in general. I saw like my whole little face and shit. So I'm like, damn, that's my first like interaction. Then certain like people and channels and then when I was in Denver a month ago, I had set the intention before I was tripping on shrooms to like come in contact with the Galactic Federation. I want to like hard ass, like solid, like I want to see y'all motherfuckers. Like I channel you, but I want to see your ass kind of shit. So I'll wake up randomly at 3 a.m. and I won't forget this. I was laying in the tent and I see something flashing like in the thing. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I go out and I'm staring up in the sky and then you just see things like zigzagging across this shit. I'm like, y'all fucking wow. This shit nuts. I'm like, okay, I got you. And I went my ass back. I'm like, okay, touche.
Man.
That shit was nuts.
Beyond it.
How did you, so I'm always curious when I have these conversations with people. Like, how did your spiritual remembering come about?
Remembrance, I don't remember. I just be aware. It's beyond the mind. But it started, shoot, when I was born. Really, see, my family is kind of like spiritual already. My mom, my grandma, all that. My grandfather, well, my great grandfather, Native American, and passing that down through the whole lineage. So the environment and atmosphere was always seek. And I baby girl, I see. The atmosphere was always seek and never accept anything blindly.
Yeah.
My mom was Islamic, but she wouldn't even tell me. We spoke Arabic when I was first born, but she spoke more than me. Of course, she'd do the prayer and all that. She wouldn't even tell me what it mean. Like, I'll be like, "What that mean?" She'd be like, "Nah, find out for yourself." Like that's the type of time she was always on. But I was born with a hearing impairment. When I was first born, I was in a coma and shit. There's a lot of shit happening. I had meningitis and all types of wild shit. I was supposed to die, but you know, niggas like us don't what. You came through, but it took my hearing, a little bit of my hearing away. Well, I don't know how much, but anywho, since the hearing impairment, and I'm sight impaired too, since I lived this life, it's like a bubble of clarity when it comes to my senses.
Ooh.
And I had to utilize completely different methods of communication, of interaction with the world. But in my doing so, one thing that's always gonna make you do is listen more. But in my doing so, I noticed a lot of real simple shit, but shit that's taken for granted, shit that puts you into this path.
Yeah.
One of the things that stand out to me the most early on, I noticed that people don't digest what another person's mean really. Sometimes they hear them, but they're not listening.
Exactly.
And I wanted to find out what that was because that shit, you know, when you're a kid, you're even more curious. A lot of these things that we just take as everyday mundane activities, you'll peep some shit if you look into it, especially early on. So I'm looking, I'm like, yo, how come I can't hear, but I'm listening to this person talk? And I was like, what did you say? And then say it over again. And I'm like, all right, I see what you mean. I repeat what they mean. And the person next to me with perfect hand, or quote unquote perfect hand, they'd be like, oh, I ain't know that's what you meant. And it's like, okay, I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
Words and meaning not the same thing. I was peeping that very early on. So I'm trying to find out what exactly that is though. Because you can say something, right? You vibrate and you using like all of this energy to pull all of these mechanisms together. It's not an easy thing to do. Chemistry, physics, everything got to operate. Your brain, your all this gotta operate just to say a word. And that word can be empty when somebody receive it. What the fuck is it that's inside of it? How are we doing this? You know what I'm saying? How we shipping out these vessels and why is it not being received? The
Yeah.
content's not being received by other people. That's something that was nagging at me since I was real young. That's, I think, is the deepest seed.
Yeah.
You feel me? Because that's what energy is. But on top of that, though, you got my mom, like I said, who is encouraging me to seek deeper into religions and certain things like that. Don't take anything blindly. I go to school, she come back, she like, don't, don't just take what they saying. She'll go over different lessons and different aspects of history with me. Stuff like that made me a very curious person and a person who didn't really believe nothing. I didn't believe anything really. It gotta be confirmed in the present moment through experience. So that naturally just take you in this path, like the simple things that you find out about yourself, they come from that certain mindset. And it was just like feeding into me early on. So it was a process, of course, many different phases. My understanding about certain things got driven way deeper. But the moment that I say I realized myself, I think that was in, I ain't gonna say I think. I would say college, but I would say it came in two phases. I would say it came in like an awakening and then a solidification. In high school, it was like an awakening. In college is when I realized. In high school, I noticed that I'm not, it's painfully clear that I'm not my mind and my body.
Right.
But in college is when it got solidified. It's a moment in particular when I noticed and I felt like everybody was one, but not in a conceptual way whatsoever, completely experimental. Like every atom of every object was no longer an object. It was all just one moving motion at once. And the perception right there is shifted the whole, like it pushed me past my mind.
Yeah.
It became pure realization. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to remember anything afterwards. I didn't have to utilize no thought whatsoever. It all was just there. You feel me? Now that's in college. That was my second year of college, whatever that, what's that called? Sophomore year?
Sophomore year.
Sophomore year. I would say that's my realization period. But I say that I chained it together. I chained it together because without the process that I had in high school, I don't think that would have ever came about.
It's like steps to this shit, I'm realizing.
It can't.
It like one thing unlocks.
Yeah, that's what I be trying to be cautious about because it's definitely not. It's not steps. I think it's just depending upon the person, the mind and body that you have, you may have some preparation needed to organize your mind and body in a certain way so that the light can shine, the light can shine through properly.
Okay.
Like say for instance, you got a room full of mirrors and you're trying to get every single mirror lit. You got to angle them in the proper way so that the light that hit the first mirror hit every single mirror. I feel like that is akin to what we're doing, but there isn't really any steps though because the mirror is just non-existent. The light is there already. You're really just trying to get the mind to recognize the light that's already present, which can be done anytime.
I see where you're going with this now. For someone who's listening and they saying, how do you even do that? Is that just a being on that?
So that's relative to your mind and body. Once you do some self-inquiry, you're gonna see what's distracting you. You're gonna see the things that's in your way. Because you're just trying to get out of your own way. But in order to get out of your way, you gotta find out who the false self-image is. Sometimes you need to find out in depth who it is. Sometimes you don't need that much work. I think that's when it comes to past life and all of that shit. You want to look at that, what you did in the past and the tendencies that you structured, your lineage, or everything gonna matter when it comes to that. But you don't need to. You don't need to because all you're trying to realize is what's already present here, what's present right now. So It's always a trap and a trick if you ever think it's steps or if you ever think it's anything, anywhere to go. But I think it'd also be quite foolish to say that a process isn't helpful. Preparation isn't helpful and isn't extremely effective.
One thing I'm realizing is and you talk about it too, free will, and is that concept. It's like nothing's right or nothing's wrong, or maybe that's a paradox, or maybe that's wrong. I don't know. It's too much. We have the fucking key to create whatever reality and whatever decision we want to do. So at that point, it's like, okay, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's also what thing I think about too. This shit is complex.
Now, our experience that the reality that we all experience,
Mhm.
we don't have no control over that. So I think that's where you get the, if you want to use the word right or wrong, that's where we can get the keys for that, like the right and wrong. When we look at basically the universal or maybe just solar system, because who knows what the fuck going on in another galaxy. But in this hemisphere of the galaxy, you can come to find that certain rules be applicable. Maybe not always. Maybe tomorrow gravity will just switch the fuck up on us. We all start floating. Who knows? But in the present moment, you could observe and see that like you throw some shit up, it's gonna fall down. So certain shit like gravity can show you that, oh, I don't need to be jumping off no cliffs, because you also see that when people die, then that organism ain't no longer being able to be mobile anymore. You know, the mind obviously ain't in the same condition. So you gonna see certain things that you can pertain to and think right or wrong. But I like to think of it more so like helpful or not helpful, helpful or harmful.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
you can go down the route that people would declare as wrong and in depth, with a revelation that pushed you so far, or so much motivation that pushed you so far into the right direction that it was worth it. But there's certain things that there's just no coming back from. You know what I'm saying? You ain't finna get shot 15 times in the head, most likely at least. It's very improbable you get shot 15 times in the head and going to continue on your journey as you was seeing fit. So I do think it's not necessarily rules, but it's tips and it's wisdom to be attained to know what to do, what's better and what's worse, what's more effective, what's least effective, what's more efficient time-wise, and what's least efficient. But all that stuff be relative though too.
Yeah.
You know your body, you know your mind, then you start to find out what's right and what's wrong.
So I've noticed a lot too. They've been trying to block out the sun, and I'm like, but okay, multiple things. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe in like non-playing characters, like it's just empty vessels sometimes in these walking bodies? Or do you think
Nah,
everybody has a soul?
I don't say a soul, but there's consciousness pervading everything.
Agreed. I feel like some are online and some are offline. But because some things I think you people like something on the news, or like some celebrity or some influencer who does some shit, and I'm like, this is so outlandish. I'm like, are you either like operating off a program, or do you actually believe this, or do you actually do this? These questions cross my mind. I mean, you can't be that extreme.
Everybody here is online. Now, some people have more rigid identities than others, and that makes you more susceptible to the will of another. The more rigid your identity is,
Mhm.
and the more impulsive you are, the less intense your consciousness is pervading your mind and your body. Then those two things in combination make you extremely susceptible to the will of others. And when you pervaded by the will of another, and you yourself lack the presence to even form any response to the will, then it's going to appear that you are possessed by the will of that, because that's all possession is really when it comes to life forms from our perspective. Everything that's moving is being moved by will. Consciousness is just is, you know what I'm saying? We don't even gotta put no mind to that right now, because when we think about possession, we're thinking about material, not the non-physical. We're thinking about this thing being possessed by an energy that's moving it in a certain type of manner. You know what I'm saying? Normally, whatever we call it as human beings are the sole possessor of a body or organism. But in actuality, there's millions of possessions going on. You know what I'm saying? We ain't orchestrating every single motion, but just for the lack of better terms, we can just call it possession by another being when we see that another human being instilled in them a will that made them move their body or move their mind in a certain type of way. Now, when you got this motherfucker, they don't seem to have no will of their own.
Yeah.
That's when you're gonna start. It's gonna come off like they possess. It's gonna come off like they stole it, because everything that they saying, you will know it to be a program of another, whether it be just another person or a whole system. You know what I'm saying? Basically, this artificial intelligence, the less responsive you is, the more reactive you is. And once you get to a very high degree of reactivity, you're gonna appear as this artificial intelligence, no different than a computer. That's what a lot of people doing right now. And that's the average citizen, to be real with you. The average citizen today, not too different than artificial intelligence. When we get it up to the degree that we are capable of, artificial intelligence, that is, a lot of people are not going to be able to tell the difference between an android and a human being.
That's what we wild, bro.
I think so for sure.
Let me ask you this, bro, because I'm always curious how, like, like-minded, individuals, how they're navigating through this, reset treachery shit. How are you kind of like staying elevated and grounded?
And this pandemic, the shifts and everything,
Yeah, bro.
is effortless, really. I just stay out of my own way, really. It's more so what I don't do than what it is that I do.
Yeah.
I don't identify with any thoughts, with any emotions, with any identifications made by my mind. I don't identify with my mind. So that way, everything that comes through is just come and go. Everything that's impermanent is just a wave, a moment for me. You know what I'm saying? I just experience it, let it rock, let it go, respond to it how I want to.
And
then
I just had a vision, like Houston's like a giant wind of like timelines and reality is just going past you while you just chilling and like picking which one you don't kind of shit. No, that we.
Oh man,
It's this whole experience is very beautiful, man. Like, yeah, you have you one thing I've noticed, and I don't know, probably not the case for everybody, but like the suffering that kind of triggers something, and then it makes me think like, okay, you must have wanted a oh shit, my cat's trying to tell me it's hungry. But I'm not, can't feed you right now. I'm sorry. What the hell was I saying? God damn it, Lulu. God damn. Something about awakening.
triggering and suffering.
Oh yeah, triggering. What the fuck? Triggering. That's my. What are you doing, bro? Triggering that.
Dog.
Bro, you a dog person?
I like all animals, really.
Oh, chill out. Damn. No. Yeah. Triggering. Oh no. Triggering and suffering and triggering. Yeah. So triggering that remembering of self. So I was wondering. I scatter a lot on my thoughts because a lot of thoughts come in my head. I can't finish that sometimes. The now I'm always curious about what did I do in a past life that made me want to experience or set it up this way. And then, because I feel like it's a multi-part. You don't have one purpose, or if it is purpose, there's multiple reasons why you came here, and that shit fascinates me. You might have, like, for example, one of my purposes is just creating this giant media network shit, and that's gonna be like the news for everyone to get their dose of vibration kind of shit. So that's one aspect of why I'm here. And it's whatever other one, X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. I'm like, damn, we live so many lives within one life. That shit wild.
Yeah. Yeah, that shit is always pretty wild. It's just how you process it. Anytime you process the universal will, you're gonna come up with a new purpose.
That's so true, bro. That's so true. What did
Depending
you?
upon what perspective you're looking at it from.
Everything's perspective.
Shit.
Everything's perspective. Because perspective is the difference between you reacting to a situation negatively or positively. It's just how you viewing it. And then also, I feel like it's just taking accountability for your feelings, your emotions. Because you the master of your own shit. You can't say, oh, so and so made me upset, that's why I'm this way. No, you let that person make you upset. That's what took upset.
That's real. That's real too. I mean, I'm in a way, in a sense of like say for example, you got a human being that created a television show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in the television show, they're creating it because they want to make some money.
Yeah.
Like that's their sole purpose. They already done explored their creativity. At this point, they're just doing the money grab. But then as they create the story and they put their energy into it, if you look from the perspective of all the individuals inside of the story, they will have a different role to play. So their purpose will be dependent upon their role specifically, the character that is. But from a universal, like the universal will that's flowing through the story, that's energizing every character, it's pretty much just saying act, entertain. It could be one will when you look from the perspective of the creator. It could just be one will.
Yeah.
Like for us, we could look at one will. We could just say the universal will is to evolve or to live. But if you look from the perspective of individual human beings or individual minds that's processing that will and turn it into thought, then it becomes a multitude of infinite purposes, infinite wills, infinite desires that can just go on and on and on.
The layers of creation is what every thought that you think is a creation that's being experienced.
Yeah.
This shit wild, bro. I'm enjoying it. And we gonna keep rocking. So
Everyone.
when it comes to, like, for example, if somebody says whoever's listening to this, if you don't know by now, I'm a big component of not speaking on anything that you don't want to happen. I will correct you as a friend. Like if you saying some shit like, man, I'm broke, I'm gonna be like, no, don't fucking say that shit. You're attracting that shit. Like, don't even say it's joking. The mind doesn't know joke or real. All I know is command. Whatever you don't, if it's something you don't want to experience, don't joke about that shit. That's my number one disclaimer. I don't know where that message came from, but I'm supposed to say that shit. That's my disclaimer. Don't speak on anything you don't want to experience.
I'm bringing it to you.
Bringing that shit to you, man. Bringing that shit to you, especially because I've been noticing, man. My reality speeding up a bit with like certain, I guess, manifestations or whatever intentions or whatever. And I'm like, damn, is it because of the vibration? And so we're, manifesting quicker. And then it made me think of like too, we don't really have much long on this experience. Think about it. You on like a tube, and within that tube it's like nanoseconds from the beginning to the end. But when you from the outside, when you looking back, like, damn, I could have did this, I could have did that. I should have appreciate life this, because you don't know when that shit finna stop. And that made me no, I wanna get your thought on that, and then I'm tie it into something else.
I said that's the most inspiring and ignorant. Mortality is extremely important to recognize and remain aware of. You can die at any moment. If we knew when we would die, I think we'll be way worse off.
That'll be shit, straight paranoia. I'll be paranoid personally.
You'll be paranoid if you knew?
Bro, I don't want to know that shit. I'll be, it shows. I forgot what freaking show. I've been watching this show called Manifest recently, and I'm not spoiling. Oh fuck, hey, damn, I don't know if anybody watched that shit. Well, I'm gonna use a different example. You finding out, when you go die. Let's say you go die 3 years from now. I'll be paranoid. I'll be hell no.
I definitely wouldn't want to know.
I wouldn't want to know that shit. That's constant.
Everything.
That's anxiety, but it puts you, because you never know, bro. You hear one day and you not, and it's just gratitude all around. You got a roof over your head before you didn't have a roof over your head, so now you appreciate the little things. You appreciate being able to lay down and wake up, or you appreciate take a hot shower kind of shit, or you appreciate being aware that you are consciousness in the shell. You appreciate this. Gratitude, what I've been realizing recently is gratitude brings you back home, and you feel that shit, because everything is a gift. You're gifting yourself in the grand scheme, but you realizing that, and you're like, damn, that's a love. You're giving me that love. And that shit's beautiful, man.
That's real. That's real, because that's what you appreciate. You go deep, well. Because you're appreciating yourself, really. You sense or recognize or perceive something.
Yep.
You did. Whatever you appreciate that you bring into your awareness, you appreciate in your own experience. When that grows the value, that's what appreciation does.
Bro, that shit's so beautiful, man. The one thing, I feel like everything with this whole, the big thing I feel like that's scaring people the most with this whole pandemic shit is the concept that they're facing the fact that they're gonna die one day, and that scares the shit out of me. Even though we all know we're only gonna be here for an extended period of time, but I feel like that just activated that whoa, I'm not ready to go yet. But what lifestyle changes do you need to do if you do want to live to 80 years old?
I think that's dependent too, because everybody got a different genetic structure. Dietary is definitely the most important, I would say. Well, I ain't gonna say the most important, but it's up there amongst the top, especially if you perceive diet as everything that you ingest and digest, consume, because that extends into media and light and everything. But the simple elements, sunlight, water, and the earth, the food that you take into your body, because that's what's composing this body. Then when you get those in the right order, get the ones that align with your system. I'm plant-based, but I don't necessarily believe that everybody is meant to be or have to be, or that's the healthiest form. And today that is. So you find out what works for you, that diet, that'll be something that is life-changing. Also, the mental patterns that you go through in a day. Like the key is to not attach, but that can go over heads, which is not understood of, but that's not necessary. When a circumstance that's unpleasant, an experience that's unpleasant come about, you ground yourself into who you are and what you are, which is not going to be whatever you're experiencing, quite obviously. Like if you move your hand, you ain't the movement of your hand, you know what I'm saying? And that's just a verb. Anything that's a verb, you know that the verb is being done, is not you. You don't say I am running, you say I was running. Well, the same occurs for every experience that happens, whether you get slapped in the face, your car crash, any of that. It sounds like an event. And when you look at it in the past, it sounds like a noun that occurred, but it's a verb. It's something that happened or was happening, and now it's past. So just like going for a running, You wake up the next day like, okay, I gotta keep running if I want to stay healthy, or I gotta keep exercising if I stay healthy. Otherwise, what happened in the past won't matter anymore.
Mm,
Same attitudes to be taken with everything. What
mm,
happened in the past, if it's not kept up right now, it literally doesn't matter. It doesn't materialize anymore. It's just passing. Most of the shit that people suffer is thought, which is just light data. It's a verb moving light. Just let that pass. Just leave it as thought. Once you identify with it, once you invest your life energy into it, that's when it become a reality that you experience because it start condensing into liquid, gas, in the form of hormones and oxygen and all of the things that make us experience. And it's going to start to matter to you. You're going to feel it. It's going to get heavy. You don't do that though. It's just stay a thought. You don't identify with it. You let a thought come in, thought go out. Those two right there alone can add a whole 2 decades to your life. Diet of your mind, diet of your body. But then on top of that, there's many other things that could be found out and done if somebody want to live to an outrageous age from today's time. Like 150, 200.
I don't want to live no 150, 200. That's too damn long. I'll be like, look,
Yeah.
I'm ready to see what's on the other side of this word. I didn't do my due diligence
Yeah.
on this
Yeah.
earth. Yeah.
You do you want to do so consciously, or when you envision it, do you envision yourself as going out passing in an unknown way?
Shit, man, that's a great question. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know. When you have, I'm getting as you say that, I'm getting a vision and they showing me walking down this little path, and on the right and left side of me, it's like the scenes of my life kind of shit. But then they're telling me, hmm, okay, so they're telling me that as you go through life, I don't know. Damn, hold on, because I question shit sometimes. Hold on, give me a minute,
That's good.
because that don't make sense to me. Your everyday moment in itself is death, if you think about it. Because let's say person goes to sleep, they, that's it for them in that state of consciousness. They, when wherever they rise to, it's a continuation. So it's like, and then even too, if you get into a car accident, that split moment, or unless you like land in your deathbed and it's like a long drawn out process. But even then, it's snap of the moment. So I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but that was something that was supposed to come out.
As well. Maybe that's because you say if you knew the death date, then you feel paranoid. It'd be interesting if you could control the death date.
I
Would
will
you still
welcome
be
it though.
paranoid?
I will welcome it. I will welcome it. Because at that point I know I did everything that I could. And if I wasn't supposed to do anything else at that point, otherwise I'll still be here.
As well.
But there's still that curiosity. I'm very curious, so I want to know what the other side look like, even though I know, but it's still that curious, like I just want to know. Like it feels like I need. It's like it's the next chapter. I just look at life as the next chapter. Like wherever I flow is wherever you're supposed to flow, and that's where you're supposed to go. I was supposed to rhyme with that shit, but it just happened, and here we are.
For sure.
That's it. Yeah. So what
That's
you
for sure.
are you do you what books would you recommend anybody?
Ain't gonna hold it. I don't read books really.
Don't read everything is
Yeah, I just pay attention to what's like in front of me. Yeah. All the answers be there. But the books that I know of that's supposed to know how to keys, the Bible, the Quran,
mm,
the them old books, what's the called the pyramid text.
Mm-hmm.
Epic of Gilgamesh, all these things. Oh yeah, Vajra, know the Indian one. Whatever, I don't know. All them books, from what I have read of some of them, and from what I hear people talking about, it got all the keys in there. If you read it with the right perception, and I'm assuming if you're the reading type, you can gather what you would need to take a step in the right direction from there. But my go-to, my suggestions are always going to be from what my own experiences, and that's to pay attention to life. Like all it, everything that anybody wrote in the book, the person who created the book got that information most likely from being present, being present, observant. They found the keys, they wrote it down, then they passed it on. Then the next lineage start studying. But you know, I don't think anything is less effective than the other,
Mm-hmm.
objectively. I think it's all dependent upon who you is and how your mind works. Because if you get bored with trying to like meditate or just be present in your whatever you are in your environment, then if it's not working for you or you enjoy reading more,
Yeah.
I could go for that. If you enjoy videos, I know some people who stop speakers. Krishnamurti, his
Okay.
name Jiddu Krishnamurti, Jiddu.
Okay. No, that one.
Well, I fuck with him. Him, Muji, I like what bro be talking. Sky Guru, I like what he be talking. You are a lot. Him and Jiddu, I think they'd be real good for people who like logic driven
Yeah.
because they can address that portion of the mind. Muji real good for people who closer to the hot space already.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, those are the people that come to mind.
What I always ask this last question to my guests. What would your message be to humanity during this time?
My method
Message. Mm-hmm.
or message.
Message. Yep. What would your message be to humanity during this time?
My message would be to go within, discover who you are, realize who you are, to the point where you can discern what you are and what you are not. That is the foundation for pleasantly exploring all that there is in life. Once you got that, you good. That ain't the end goal, that ain't the end journey. But once you got that, you good. All it takes to do so is to literally just pay attention to life, to who you are. I'm talking about the everyday mundane moments of somebody talking to you and you tell a person you love them and they tell you they love you back. Ask them like how they feel. What does love feel like to you? And then realize the distinctions between what you feel and what they feel. Start to pay close attention to how this mind work, how sensation work, how feeling work, how emotion work, because all of that is just the surface level. That's just the surface waves on this life. You could go way deeper, but it's you naturally not going to be that curious to go deeper if you feel like the wave is the most exciting portion. But, you know what I'm saying? You're not really going to pay attention to what's deeper. So that, you know what I'm saying? Also, when I'm gonna stick with that analogy for a bit.
Okay.
When you surfing on the waves of emotion, thought, things like this, and you try to go deeper using the mind, then it's gonna be a thought going deeper into a thought, emotion and thought going deeper into emotion and thought. So instead of going to what a lot of people, especially nowadays, thinking that you're getting deeper, but what's really happening is like a submarine, like going from a surfboard to a submarine on that same wave. So it appeared like you went way deeper, but you're still on the wave. What I'm trying to say is thought and emotion and all of these things that we occupy our mind with day to day, it can trick you into thinking you're getting very, very far. But if you're still using thought and emotion beware of this. This could be a more important message. Beware of the trick of getting far using thought and emotion. Because your mind will trick you and make you think you got it on something way deeper. But it's just thought and it's just emotion. Those are surface level. We can go deeper to realize who we are. Gotta get beyond the mind. Not separate from the mind, but beyond it. Because we exist beyond it. We transcend it.
Bro, where can we, for those who don't know, where can we find you? I'm gonna also put down the description, but where can we find you?
Twitter, I be on a Huemvn BEinG. That's HUEVMN and then underscore being BEING. Instagram, same name, same at now. Feel free to DM me. Everything I do in this realm of things is gonna be free. I make my money out in other avenues. I don't think I'm gonna really blend them unless I create a building or something that needs to be sustained.
Yeah.
You know, you can hit me up when if you ever need any insight, anything.
Guys, I'm
That's
gonna
where I could be reached at.
I'm gonna provide the description below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, like, comment. I want to hear from you. This was a fun episode, and I appreciate you taking time to be on, my guy.
No problem, bro.
My guy.
Stay blessed.
Be blessed.
Much appreciated.
Guys, I love you. You're awesome. See you next Sunday.